Hello and good morning. I hope that all is really well with you wherever you are in the beautiful world today. I'm up here in our beautiful mountains of Snowdonia, where yet again we are enjoying the most incredible opportunity to enjoy nature in the local valley here, because of course Wales has gone back into lockdown. Yay! Fantastic. So it's really, really exciting to be able to be here, to be in nature, to be part of life that is here. What I just wanted to start with this morning is something that's really touched me this week. And that's because I was doing a mentoring for somebody the other day, and they were getting to a point where they just couldn't quite see their way forward. It was a little bit overwhelming for them in their life. And in that process, they felt out of control. And I think we all get to that point where we're not quite sure what's going on and why, and trying to work out what it is that's going on in our lives and why we feel as we do. And we all get to that point. We're all trying to work these things out for ourselves. And what I was working with this particular person was that feeling of being out of control, that I'm not able to construct the life that I would like to lead, because everything is kind of, quite literally feeling like it's out of your control. So I come to a particular prayer. And this prayer was written by Reinhold Niebuhr, and who was a theologian, and it was based back in 1951. And he wrote something very, very precious. Now, you're going to recognize this instantly. And his prayer was, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Oh, yes. So grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, to have the courage, the real conviction and the power to change the things that you can change, and of course then the wisdom to know the difference between the two. And it's actually written on this little pendant. I'll just hold it a little bit closer so that you can see. And it's a little pendant of the praying hands. And it was given to me 15 years ago or something, 20 years ago. And for a long time, I wore it as my pendant around my neck. And more recently, I've had it on my meditation table. And I always look at this and I remember the power of those words, because it's something so simple and yet so effective. Because the things that you cannot change, there is no point getting stressed about them. There is absolutely no need to worry in the way that we do about things that we cannot change, because bottom line is we can't change them. All we can do is change our attitude to those things that we cannot change. So let's start there. What are the things that are in your life that you don't feel in control of, that you would like to have maybe a little bit more control over? And get to the point where you're looking at how can I change my attitude towards those things? Can I accept the fact that I cannot change them? And in that process, am I able to look at them in a slightly different way so that I don't get stressed or anxious about those things? Because if it's out of your control, it is quite literally something that you cannot change. Now, when we are trying too hard, it can cause us quite a lot of stress. Like if you're trying to control things or adjust things or that aren't possible, it creates stress and anxiety within us. And that stress and anxiety is then no good for your mind, it's no good for your physical body, and it's certainly no good for your emotions and your emotional heart as well. So what we need to do is find a way to accept those things that you cannot change, put them to one side, and then start to look at the things that you can change. So in those situations, are there elements that you can control? And of course, the biggest thing that you can control in any situation is our response. How am I reacting to this thing? And therefore, can you start to take a little bit of a distance from whatever's stressing you out and see it for what it is, which is something that's going on outside of your control? Accept it, and then the things that you can change, you then have the courage to actually do something about it. Now, that is the next big thing. What are the things that are stopping you from making those changes? Where and what do you need to invoke within you, the courage and the power and the passion to actually try and make that difference? So that's where we come into that second quality of courage. So acceptance is actually based at our Swadhisthana chakra, which is the sacral center, accepting what's happening around you. And courage comes from here, right at the Manipura center, that fire center, the solar power, passion. And that Manipura energy of courage and conviction gives you strength, inner strength, willpower, determination to actually make some of those changes. And what I would suggest is that you go right the way back to the tiny little things that are going to make a difference in your life. Go back to what you can eat, where you can walk, lighting your candle every day. Some of these really basic things that seem like just throwaway things that don't mean very much, and yet if you do them on a regular basis, they do build your self-worth, because you're making a difference. You're doing things that are potentially a little bit challenging, in that it's quite hard sometimes to maintain a flow of those new habits and those new rhythms, but you can definitely make some impact and some changes within yourself. So courage to change the things you can. And quite often why we've not done the changes already is because we, so many reasons, isn't there? But for me, it's quite often waiting for external validation, waiting for me to be perfect, or other people to be perfect, or the situation to be perfect. So yes, having the courage and the conviction to make small changes towards something that you can make a positive difference in. And then finally coming through to that point, the wisdom to know the difference. And that is where you have to get really in touch with your heart, really in touch with your inner intuition to know what you can change and what you can't change, and making the choices in the right direction. So I hope that that's been a little bit of a thought for the day for you. It is something that, as I said, has touched me deeply, and particularly when we get to a place where we are overwhelmed with our lives, where we're not sure what's going on or why, coming back to that kind of prayer where you can literally accept the things that you cannot change, having the courage to change the things that you can, and of course, then having the wisdom to know the difference. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm hoping that all is really, really well with you. There's so many things going on at Drew at the moment, including a live masterclasses coming up over the next couple of weeks. And I'm next week going to be starting a Drew dance online course. So for those of you that really enjoy movement, please do come and consider joining me for that course over the autumn time here in Wales, where you'll be able to dance away some of your blues, but learn something new as well. And that whole dance is about finding your true purpose and your destiny, if you like. So expressing that through archetypes and through the most extraordinary mudras as well, hand gestures that take you towards your destiny. So I hope you can join me there, and look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to catching you again next week. Bye for now.